Is our consciousness the product of physical and chemical phenomena, or is it merely a tool or medium for the spirit? There have been many skeptics over the past 2,600 years, such as Hippocrates, a Greek physician who stated, "Men ought to know that from the brain and from the brain alone arise our pleasures, joys, laughter, and jest, as well as our sorrows, pains, griefs, and tears. Through it, in particular, we see, hear, and distinguish the ugly from the beautiful, the bad from the good, the pleasant from the unpleasant. I hold that the brain is the most powerful organ of the human body, wherefore I assert that the brain is the interpreter of consciousness." There are many people who disagree, who are both religious and non-religious. Some people have turned to NDEs, or near-death experiences, as evidence to confirm their stance on the issue. In one of the largest studies ever done on NDEs, by a team based in the UK, the editor-in-chief of the journal who published the work, Dr. Jerry Nolan, congratulated the team on the extensive work they have done, stating, "The researchers are to be congratulated on the completion of a fascinating study that will open the door to more extensive research into what happens when we die." The researchers studied for around 4 years cardiac arrest patients and analyzed their accounts. They found that 40% of survivors described having some form of awareness at a time when they were declared clinically dead. In one case, an individual was clinically dead for several minutes and gave a detailed account of what had happened. This, of course, is very credible, due to the fact that within the first 35 seconds of the heart stopping, the brain shuts down. So any suspicions of hallucinations or drugs is ruled out. Another case has to do with a neurosurgeon by the name of Eben Alexander. In the morning of November 10th, 2008, Eben woke up with severe back pain at 4:30 a.m. After the emergency room discovered the issue, he was diagnosed with meningoencephalitis. After the bacterial meningitis that devastated his neocortex, he was given a 2% chance to live, and was expected that if he were to have survived, would have been in a vegetative state. During this period of time, Dr. Alexander also recalled an out-of-body consciousness he described as being more real than in his real body. What baffles scientists as well as Dr. Alexander is due to the damage done to his neocortex, this should not have been possible, indicating that whatever reality was experienced, it was not due to the brain. Even outside of the aspect of NDEs, a well-known and one of the most influential individuals in neuroscience by the name of Dr. Wilder Graves Penfield had made many breakthroughs dealing with the brain. In one event, Dr. Penfield was stimulating areas of the brain surface in order to demarcate the parts producing epilepsy using electrical stimulation of certain areas of the brain. When a weak electrical current to the hand region was added to the patient began to move his hand. When Penfield asked the patient why he was moving his hand, the patient replied that he, the patient, was not causing the movement, but rather Penfield was doing it with his electrode. When Penfield stimulated the motor area activating the larynx, the patient made a sound. When asked about this, the patient stated that he had nothing to do with the sound, and that Penfield had caused it. It's better explained like this. If there is an I, as in, I did not cause the movement, who, when it has access to the computer, or brain, can program movements? If someone else gains access to the computer, however, the I is fully aware that the machine is being run by another person. The I and the brain are therefore not the same thing. The I must be a non-cerebral conscious entity. I will leave it at this, that there is more than enough compelling documented testimonies in scientific cases made just from NDEs to draw a reasonable conclusion. Even separate from this, we can deduce from a scientific observation made by well-respected neurosurgeons like Penfield that the brain and our consciousness are separate. The brain and mind seem to be equivalent to a man in a car. You can damage the car, the brakes, windshield wipers, and all the other equipment that may malfunction, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the directive consciousness behind the vehicle can't continue afterward.